I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. Trent Bowman is a Vice President and Community Development Officer for KleinBank, which is a division of Old National Bank. First of all, we thank Old National for sponsoring today's program. And Trent, thank you for being part of making that happen. You know, Trent's role as Vice President and Community Development Officer for Klein reflects his interests, his intent, his assignment to meet the home lending needs of residents in the Minneapolis area. Trent is passionate about his commitment to guide minority individuals and families down the path of home ownership. He works tirelessly with prospective homeowners to identify programs that make purchasing a home possible. In fact, he frequently teaches classes for first-time home buyers, and in addition, he serves as a board member for the National Association of Real Estate Brokers. It's called NAREB. He also is heavily involved with a number of major organizations that are focused on increasing minority home ownership. These include the Local Initiatives Support Corporation Advisory Council, the Home Ownership Alliance of Minnesota, the Minneapolis Urban League, Model Cities, Neighborhood Partners, and Neighborhood Economic Opportunity Network. It's called NEON. Trent himself is a native of North Minneapolis and a proud graduate of North High. Go Polars, right? And a graduate of Minneapolis Community College. Trent, thank you for being here. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for the support of Old National, supporting the work of NAREB and of Home Ownership Alliance to advance this cause of creating wealth in our community. And so you've been an advocate of getting the right information to people at the right time, so they can get on the path of becoming home owners. And you always caution people, don't run headlong into something that you're not prepared for.
Right.
Preparation is everything. Talk about your philosophy, how you try to help people be realistic and therefore successful as they move towards wealth creation through home ownership.
Thank you, Al. My philosophy, and one of the things that I'm very passionate about, and one of the things that I push, is this is something that you just don't do over the phone. You have two sets of numbers that are affiliated with you that are very important, and that's your date of birth and that's your social security number. So why would you give that information to a voice? I'm a firm believer, especially for first-time home buyers, especially for people of color in the community, is that you need to have options. You need to go through the process. And that process starts with a consultation. Meet with your loan officer. Do that one-on-one consultation. Understand the products and programs that are available for you. We try to push credit scores on a higher brand instead of that old school mentality, qualify for anything. You know, you can get in with a 580 credit score, or you can get in with a 590 or a 600. I'm not saying you can't buy with those credit scores, but I'm saying is, why not qualify for the smorgasbord of products? We all go to buffets, that's all you can eat. Why not have all the products you can qualify for? And how do you get that? By having better credit scores. My passion now is push the higher credit scores. Let's get people in with the 680s, the 700s, and then let's map out.
Don't be afraid of having good credit.
Exactly. Thank you. Don't be afraid. Right,
Yeah,
right.
that's right.
Good credit is a blessing.
That's right.
It's not, it's not a penalty. So everything in life now is being generated based on credit scores. Getting a job, your insurance, all of these things are being based on, or your premium or what your percentage is going to be based on credit. So why can't we as a community come to the game, come to the table with the better credit scores? So when you come to see me, I'm going to lay out all the products that are available for you, whether it be our in-house product, which is the Home Manager Program, whether it's FHA, whether it's Minnesota Housing, the startup program, whether it's Home Ready, which is a conventional 3% program. I'm going to lay out the difference between the principal and interest payment and then lifestyle. What is your lifestyle? Let's ask the people the questions. What do you enjoy doing? Do you have kids? Are they in extracurricular activities? Buying a house should be something to enjoy, not something where you're pressing or you start making excuses for yourself. Well, I got to get a second job, or I can have my brother live with me. We know these things aren't going to happen. So let's get the people the dream home they can afford. When I started this business many, many years ago, and I used to sit and do these consultations, and clients would say, well, I want my dream home. And I used to think, dream home, dream home. What is that dream home?
So client is 21, and what?
Yeah, right. So
and what?
Yeah.
What's he or she saying to you?
Right. My dream home is a 3-bedroom house, full basement, 2-car garage, big yard, fence. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, dream home, but what can you afford? Okay, so let's break those payments down for you. How does that look like? And you can kind of tell if you're in the ballpark based on the people's body language. So example, I'll ask a person the question, what are you paying in rent? Well, they'll say, well, I'm paying $900. Okay, where do you see your mortgage payment at? Well, I want to be about $1,100. Okay, so what does that look like on a purchase price perspective? $250,000. Okay, well, let's look at the numbers based on $250,000, and does that equate to an $1,100 payment? So once you run the numbers, you kind of see where it's at. Now you got about a $1,500, $1,600 payment. Then you look at the body and you see the language. You kind of see the squibbling and the $1,600 versus $1,100 versus what you're paying now at $900.
Yep, double. Yep.
Now, how does life look?
And plus, things got to go with it.
Exactly, because once you sign on that dotted line, you're going to create new debt. I call it house debt. What is house debt? House debt is all those things you don't think about: furnace, water softener, yard work, shoveling, miscellaneous things. Things come up that you don't even know. You know, we just had a crazy February for snow. You got ice banks that are hanging off the side of your house. You got to pay for that. You got to pay for a contractor to come and clear those ice banks out. So the bottom line is, we want people to buy the dream home you can afford. Buy the house of substance.
Get real.
Yeah.
Be real.
Yeah. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. And then I'm going to break the payments down. I'm going to break the numbers down. And then once we have a good feeling and we have a positive number and what this individual can qualify for, that's where our real estate partners really come into play, because they're the key. Because if the loan officers explain to the real estate agent, this individual qualifies for a $150,000 property, it's important for our real estate partners to start showing our clients properties not right at 150, but maybe work your way up to 150. Start at 125, 130. I understand that there's nothing out there, but you never know. You might find a diamond in the rough at 140. You might find a gold mine at 135. I've done this for a long time, and it has happened. So consultation is very important. That one-on-one, get to know who you're working with. This is one of the biggest investments you're going to make in life. This is something you can pass down to your kids and change the narrative. And that narrative really, Al, changes with credit. I hear it all the time, and again, I'm not telling anybody, if you need to buy and your credit scores are where they're at, God bless you. But what I'm saying is, let's change that narrative. Let's come to the tables with the 680s and the 700s and the 740s. Let's qualify for all the products, and let us make us where we can make the decision, because we have options. Don't pigeonhole yourself into one product. I teach first-time home buyer classes, and I can honestly tell you, after a class, there's always one person, maybe two, sometimes three, that will come to me and say, Trent, I didn't know I had options. All I was told was FHA. Well, what's your credit score? Well, I have a 740 credit score. So they didn't talk to you about some of the other options and the down payment assistance programs that are available? No. So now I'm giving you power now. So go back to your own officer and ask the questions.
That's a real challenge in our community. One of the stories that I had heard years ago, Trent, talked about, the conditioning that we have in our community that sometimes does not serve us well. And it's not based on what we've done, it's based on historical inequities and disparities, and in some ways discrimination in the industry that reflected the culture of discrimination. For example, I would hear that as a result, when African American people looking for a home would go and ask a lender for, a mortgage, if the offer was accepted, they would be so relieved because they were so stressed that they would say thank you and take it, or if they got a no, they would internalize that so deeply and give up and walk away. Both answers are wrong. You can do whatever you want to, but by comparison, our European brothers and neighbors and friends will say, yeah, I like that offer, but let me go to 5 more banks.
Right.
Since I know I got one, let me go and ask 3 more or 2 more or 5 more and negotiate the very best rate. So part of our training has not been training to have us be that intentional in shopping for the best rate. And that equates to sort of not being prepared in general. And how do we address that? Well, you're addressing that through the conference coming up next week. NARAB is putting on a project in North Minneapolis at the John B. Davis Education Center on West Broadway, talking about home ownership. Talk about that project.
Right, thank you. Yeah, it's the NARAB Housing Fair. Old National Bank's one of the major sponsors. But what it is, and to kind of go off of what Al is asking on when it comes down to the interest rates and people shopping around, and then people getting that fast no, and I'll share a story. Back when I was a young man, and when my mother, God rest her soul, was trying to purchase her first home, and we went into a particular bank, and she was told no right away. And at that time, I didn't have any clue or any idea that I would be doing this business. But for some reason, it resonated with me. It stuck with me because this particular individual really never gave her an option. He never really filtered any other choices. It was just a fast no. So as I started to grow into this business and I started to learn more about this business, and again, back in the good old days, it was all about the rate. What's your rate? 4%. Well, this particular bank quoted me 3.5%, or that particular bank quoted me 3%. In my humble opinion, rates are all the same. Product, as the pricing, is what is the change, and the type of product that you are qualifying for, because conventional rate might be different from FHA's rate. A 3% portfolio product within the bank's rate might be different from the regular conventional payment. And then you're talking about down payment. How much money are you putting down? So the more money you put down, the greater or the more positive you're going to get on that interest rate. But for our community, and when we're talking about the African American community and the community of color, in most cases, we don't get that option. We don't have that option to put 20% down and get the A+ rate. We're limited to the FHA product. We're limited to the portfolio product, which is a 30-year fixed, no mortgage insurance. We're limited to maybe a home-ready product or a home possible product, which are 3% down. But the key is the mortgage insurance. And that's where a lot of people need to be educated on, especially in our community, because mortgage insurance is really it's a big hit towards your bottom line payment. So example, if you're doing FHA, the mortgage insurance for FHA is a basic percentage. It's crossed the line, can't change it, 0.85, there it is. But for some of these other products, like a conventional product, well, the mortgage insurance could be much higher based on your credit score. So you can come to the tables with a 640 or a 650 credit score and go conventional, put 5% down, but now that mortgage insurance premium is going to be much higher. Okay, same for the home ready product, which you can have a credit score as low as 620. But what's going to get you is that mortgage insurance. That mortgage insurance premium on a home ready product at 3% down could be somewhere in the ballpark of 1.8 or 1.81%.
Double.
Do the math. So based on that loan amount that you're trying to get, you might have a mortgage insurance payment of $250, $260. So that's why the education of product, programs, consultation, credit scores higher, because the higher your credit scores are, lower the mortgage insurance, more opportunity, you're not pigeonholed into one product. So what we're trying to do with the NARAB event on Saturday the 13th of April is to bring the community in and let them ask questions. What are your challenges? You're going to have professionals there that are there for you to answer the questions. Never let anybody give you a fast no, because it's always a slow yes. And with that slow yes, my philosophy is always about, again, I go to the process. If it takes you 60 days, if it takes you 90 days, if it takes you 120 days, if it takes you a year, what is the objective?
Get the house.
Get the house.
And get it right.
And get it right.
Trent Bowman, Vice President, Community Development Officer for KleinBank, a division of Old National Bank, sponsor of today's program. Thank you so much for being here. And remind you to join Trent and join me. I'll be moderating for the homeownership fair at the John B. Davis Education Center on West Broadway. It's from 10 to 2 on the 13th of April.
Yes.
Get the information you need. Get on the path to owning a home. I'm Al McFarland. This is Conversations with Al McFarland. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Trent.